So we're gonna talk about HUD today. We're gonna talk about the FHA property rules that could potentially be changing on us, and we're gonna talk about this great big cloud over the head of the United States real estate market called the affordability crisis. These are all gonna be some touchy subjects, so if you don't feel like coming to church today, now's the time to leave. HUD's going to review the FHA property rules, and ultimately, as they're known to do anytime this happens, they're going to start slowing down the pipeline. For HUD to review property rules and currently projecting none of these changes, in fact, how they're doing it by asking for public feedback on what the FHA minimum property requirements are and how they should be updated. This review could affect every single FHA finance offer that's already on the table, appraisal repairs, how sellers evaluate FHA buyers, and ultimately, if sellers needed one more excuse not to have an FHA buyer offer accepted on their table, this is going to do it. My VA buddies, you know what I'm talking about. You coming in as a V, if people need another excuse because of the additional strenuous activities and the difficulty level inside of appraisals and inspections and requirements that the VA holds, sounds very similar to what the FHA is going to go by. Now, that said, the FHA property rules aren't set to go into effect immediately. In fact, the comments are open for the general public through June 29th. And then they are going to talk about these things. But ultimately, the current requirements are going to remain in effect as long as the HUD is going to collect data. So, why do the FHA property standards even draw scrutiny? FHA's minimum property requirements, and let's just call them the MPRs for the rest of this session. These are the baseline condition rules. These are the conditions that a property, not a borrower, the conditions the property must meet to set the standard for the FHA insured mortgage. HUD, Housing and Urban Development, says the standards were originally intended to ensure that an FHA financed house is safe, sound, secure, all while protecting the Mutual Mortgage Insurance Fund. So, MPR issues can become transaction management problems in our world. If an FHA appraisal flags required repairs or additional inspections, those items will absolutely slow things down and they must be resolved before the mortgage can even be insured. So that adds time, it triggers re-inspections, it makes sellers less willing to consider an FHA buyer. HUD says that the last major MPR update related to repairs has been 20 years. So they believe that the environment has changed, the requirements have changed. The agency has shifted away from requiring repairs for minor cosmetic defects and normal wear and tear. Trade groups have pushed HUD to align more with the FHA property standards and more closely with the conventional loan standards. So their argument has always been for the last 20 years, current framework adds too many delays to FHA financing. So what is HUD going to review? HUD's current review is focusing on the friction points that agents are seeing against any FHA transaction. So the agency is asking what MPRs are no longer necessary. Are current rules adequately protecting the borrowers and the insurance fund? And are more repairs or should more repairs be allowed after closing? So, not to minimize the standard, but it's okay for you to go ahead and close, but let's get a document that says post closing, the following repairs must be completed for an FHA mortgage to be insured. HUD is asking how the FHA rules are compared with Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac standards as well. So, whether these policies are clearly communicated to the lenders and the appraisers specifically, and whether the appraiser's role in identifying these MPRs still fits a modern appraisal practice. You all know what I'm about to say. Appraisers are not property experts. They are evaluation experts. They are supposed to be able to compare with numbers, with real-time data, what a property is valued at under the current market standard. For agents, practical risks, repair disputes, appraisal delays, re-inspection requirements and timing. And ultimately, seller hesitation is going to make it even more trying. So, what's the reform that's on the table? What are they going to do to fix this? One prominent industry proposal to the FHA is going to align more closely with Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. These are the property condition standards. Ultimately, a change will argue that they'll reduce the delays in the FHA financing. So right now, if I put an offer in and I know I've got an FHA buyer, I'm going to traditionally put 6 weeks in my expectation to close. VA, probably closer to 8. And for this exact reason, they require more strenuous inspections, potentially re-inspections. The appraisal has to meet an additional level of standards. More things have to be checked, and an appraisal can actually trigger inspections as well. So the review will go beyond the conventional loan argument, and it'll work, and it might give us some potential post-closing repair flexibility. The appraisal scope of work needs to be clearer, needs to give more guidance. And honestly, these appraisers need to not be allowed to have a side hustle GC license or work for a garage repair company or also be a training plumber or electrician. Because if I look at some of the appraisals that come in today, it looks like an advertisement for why that same person that did the inspection could also do the repair and fix this problem for you. So how should agents handle the FHA deals now? For a buyer's agent specifically, current FHA standards still apply. You need to set the expectations early with your FHA clients, especially when your listing has had deferred maintenance, meaning especially in the Florida market, we got plenty of houses, but they're older houses. They need work, they are in disrepair. People that lived in the homes did little fix-its but didn't repair or replace anything. So that the repairs have gotten older, or the lack of replacement has caused the damage to be more obvious. Dealing with this in multiple offers today. But before submitting the offer entirely, you need to look for visible health, safety, structural issues that could trigger additional repair inspections, conditions, or even re-inspections. For the listing agents, the RFI should not change the offer guidance. If a property has known conditional issues, if you're representing the house and you know this, you got a lot of lipstick on this pig, you need to address them before you go live. Because honestly, you're just going to cause more friction for yourself. For the FHA buyers that are going to come in, they're going to expect that although it's not necessarily structural integrity or HVAC or problems with the plumbing or anything with the 4-point, roof damage, ceiling damage because of roof leaks, all these kinds of things, it is very easy for you to get in front of it, listing agents. Stop rushing to get into the MLS and start putting your home in a position that before we can get your house for sale, maybe let's do a pre-inspection. The home's older. I'm seeing a few things that maybe could have been done, maybe some delayed maintenance. Feel free to call it anything you want. If you lived in the house, the repair should have been done, period. And if you own the house today, hear me. If I can't walk in and sell your home in its current condition, or you're actually muttering back and forth in your own head about whether a repair should be done, do it. This is not something that should be carried forward to a buyer because you don't feel like handling the maintenance expense. If your house is approaching any of the big 5-year markers, especially the 15, the 20, and the 25 years, get the big things done. Don't slough that off because you want to ride the market and I have a beautiful home with the exception of it's going to need a roof in the next 2 years and I don't want to abhor that expense. Don't do that to a new buyer. Play fairly. When you bought the house, damn it, the house was in great condition. That's why you bought it. Use that same expectation for the people that you're going to sell it to. Flippers, I'm looking at you next. If you're going to go in there and you're just going to start slapping a bunch of paint on a house, because you believe that's all it needs is a fresh look. Promise you, that's an ugly pig underneath, and the inspections are going to uncover it. And if an FHA or a VA buyer walk in there, you're going to have hell to pay. So be prepared. One way or the other, an inspector's going to catch it. You're going to end up having to pay for it, or worse, you're going to go back and forth with your arrogance on the inspection report and pretend that these repairs don't need to be done. Agents should align very early with the lender as well, because likely the repair issues and the timing with them is going to be immense. If a repair comes up after the appraisal, buyers and the sellers need to be told right then. This is how a re-inspection cycle could affect your closing. So be prepared. So what do we watch out for come June 29th? After June 29th, that's the commitment deadline. HUD's going to review all of the public records before deciding on the next steps. But this signals that the changes are coming for the mortgagee letters. The Handbook 4000 update is going to happen. A proposed rulemaking process of HUD pursues big, broad changes. Until then, FHA buyers and sellers are told the same thing. The review is underway, but the current rules remain in force through closing. Practitioners with a transaction level example, by the way, repair delays, appraisal disputes, or lost FHA deals, feel free to submit your comments as to what happened during this open feedback period. They need to be able to see what's going on in the real world and how is it affecting us in the industry. Now let's dive into the affordability crisis. And that word in general, affordability. Don't get into a market that you can't pay for. Affordable is based on your situation. Whether 50% of the nation is priced out of buying a home or not cannot be allowed to affect your story. If you have a need and you have the capability and you have set up all of the markers well for you to be prepared to buy a home in any market condition, partner with a good real estate agent who is partnered with a good broker and work through what you want to do. If you have a financial advisor, get them and your real estate agent in the room together. Make sure that your financial strategy aligns to your home ownership strategy or your buying investment strategy so that it makes sense for your future. Because affordability data is suggestive, and some of the sidelined buyers that are just sitting back and waiting might be ready to return because they're getting tired of waiting. Agents need to review all of these things in advance, set them up for success by telling them, talk the financial picture too. Get the lender in the room and make sure you're all preaching to the same hymnal when you're speaking to these clients. Rates, budgets, pre-approvals, and inventory need to be discussed, and it needs to be important. And when you're talking through your client's dream, your customer's idea of where we're going to go next, you need to be realistic into how that meets the financial picture that they've set themselves up for. I'm going to harken back to April a little bit because that's the data I am using as I'm walking into the summer month. And trust me, the summer's busy. If you could see my desk, I have Keystone folders lined up. These are either active conversations, not just people in my chatter box. Those are cold leads. I don't even put those on my desk. Keystone Big Blue folders are active conversations, active listings, active buyers, and then across the top of my desk are the ones that are lined up to close within the next 30 days. These are contracts under action. And business is good. This is what the summer should look like. The April affordability data might give some of you agents a reason to recheck some of your sidelined buyer leads. The May listing and the June mortgage rates are showing the openings still remain limited. Those are still very flat numbers, but the affordability analysis, that's your household comfortability factor, states that a household needs approximately $116,000 in annual income to afford a traditional U.S. home in the United States. This is down 2% from where we were last year, meaning that you need less income to buy a house. So there is a shift happening, but we don't. But I can't tell you what's making that number plausible. The share of listings affordability to a median income buyer, honestly, that rose up to 32.9% from 28.7 the year before. So although the typical household earns about $29,000 less than the income needed to buy the median price house, agents can re-update their pre-approval assumptions and identify which clients are closer to re-enter the market. Your lenders should be getting more creative by now in working with the client's situation. They should know everything in advance. Less pre-qualifications, more pre-approvals are needed for you to be able to move forward. National Association of Realtors, all hail the NAR. That rose to 110.6 in April, up from 101.4 the year before. That's their housing affordability index. Index above 100 means that a family earning the median income qualifies for a mortgage on a median price existing home. That doesn't slate them to be able to go and buy outside of their means. It means that if they just stick to national averages, this is how well the average family can afford going to buy a house today. Lower mortgage rates have certainly helped compared to last year, but the borrowing costs still remain a hurdle. A 30-year fixed mortgage averaged about 6.48 as of June. This is down from 6.85 the year earlier. That's a pretty good marker below. But the taxes, the insurance, and the HOAs are still killing their final payment. It's crushing their debt to income ratio. So when I say recheck the buyers before restarting your search, the buyers who paused in 2025 and that have been getting a little bit antsy in this new year in 2026, they might be working with some outdated assumptions. Some of them now have a higher income. Some of them now have a lower debt. They've got more savings in the bank. They've got a lower target price than they had before. Others might still be priced out. Either their income, their cash availability, or their payment limits are causing them to completely pull the brake until rates come considerably down. Still, start the requalification process. Start that conversation about the monthly payment, not the list price. Agents need to conform to the buyer's current rate quotient. That means that you need to start having the total price of ownership, the PITI conversation. What's the real note going to be for you? What is your actual current rate that you qualify for? What's your target payment that you're looking for? What available cash do you really have? How much of it can you use for down payment? How much of it can you use for negotiations towards the purchasing of a home? And then flexibility on location and property type. Sorry, can't afford downtown Miami, stop shopping there. If you can't afford downtown Tampa, stop going to the housing shows. Agents have got to review the state of proposals. Changes in the rates and the income and the debts and the credit alter everything on the buyer's terms. And I'm telling you, 6 months is a world of difference in that process. The latest let me read this off. The latest existing home sales report. This put inventory at 1.47 million units at the end of April. This is up. We got more houses on the market between March and April of this same year. Still, very balanced market in Florida. A little bit seller versus buyer when you get into the different areas, downtown versus rural, sure. But on the average, this is an average market. The amount of houses still lower than what's needed, and I'm going to say the amount of quality homes for sale that don't need excessive repairs and the things that would throw the FHA and the VA out, honestly, even more so. So let's sort your buyers out. Let's put them into three groups. A simple lead framework, if you will. This will help you as an agent decide who's ready for the new listings, who needs monitoring, who needs the longer runway. So reactivated buyers, if they've got improved income, if they have been concentrated on lowering their debt, if they've got more savings in the bank while they have been waiting in this last 6 to 9 months on this target pricing, this is important for you to be able to. Let's get you back in here and get you requalified. Then I'm going to go from reactivated to watch list. You're close, but you still need something to happen in the market. You either need a lower rate or you need considerable seller concessions on the negotiation side, or you need some more price reductions to happen in your local market where you're shopping, or honestly, you need a smaller search area to make your payment work. And then you got that third one. These folks are still priced out. I appreciate them staying in the pipeline and having the conversations, but the market's not ready for you right now. You're too far from the current market conditions. Ultimately, you need more time. You need additional cash savings. You need stronger credit, or you need to just try a different area totally. Maybe the price of gas might be a hindrance too, but it's easier for you to get a little outside of the city and commute and find a nice home for yourself or your family, rather than you trying to push yourself into a home that you absolutely can't afford. And maybe a lender bending the rules to a point where you're losing your personal affordability. So what should you agents be telling clients? Look, not every sidelined buyer is ready to return to market. Qualification still needs to be dependent on rate, payment, and local inventory. So they need to know where they're shopping. They need to have the capability to buy, and they need to understand what their PITI is going to be at the end of closing. Start the requalification with their monthly payment, not with the listing price. We need to see what their buying power is. And that's the terms that my clients are hearing out of me. I need to know, what's your buying power? What can you truly do? What HOA can you afford? What taxes and insurances can you actually afford? If you are in a difficult situation with any of those, or you're finding yourself crunching numbers to make it work, this isn't the market for you. Clients that are able to re-enter the market right now, I'm going to tell you this is a great opportunity. You have a chance right now to negotiate concessions, repairs in a balanced market like this. It's a give take. Mr. Seller, I'm willing to offer you your list price as long as I can get some concessions towards closing costs and fees, and I can get some additional help with the costs of repairs and things that should put this house in a more confident position before I purchase. Agents, I'm relying on you to be the leaders. Clients, you need to listen. We are the experts. And if you're not getting expert opinion from the agents that you're working with, and all they're doing is slapping a for sale sign, and they're not doing any additional marketing, they're not having honest conversations with you on the listing side, they're not just packing you around and throwing you in the car and showing you houses to keep you interested, they're not doing more than that, if they're not talking to you on the total investment costs and the lifetime purchase strategy that you have with your inventory, then you need to try us here at Keystone. Don't wait. Talk to us now. No obligation to work with us, but we're going to give you the honest, solid truth of whether you work with us or not. You're going to at least know what you need to do, and you're going to need to know how to align to a strategy. Thanks, everybody. Have a great weekend. Do good business, and I am excited for what I am seeing in front of me with all of this additional business, and God bless you, each and every one of you. Have a good day.